No matter where you started as a Transformers fan, sometimes it is great to go back where it all started. After all, the franchise wouldn't be here today if the old school didn't pave the way.
Reminds me of the Nida slave mine on Galganath 7.
Every place reminds you of someplace else.
Experience, lad. You should learn to appreciate it.
Through Hasbro's official Pulse YouTube channel, everyone can now go back and watch the original G1 Transformers cartoon. However, if you're paying attention, they seem to have listed them in an order that just may confuse the newer fans. So hopefully, by the end of this video, you will at least have a basic understanding of the show and be able to watch the G1 cartoon in a proper chronological order.
Well, it all began about 9 million years ago.
Oh, great. It's gonna be one of those long stories.
I'd like to thank my patrons and my channel members for your continued support. Consider becoming one, or purchase some merch on my spring store today. In February of 1984, Hasbro unveiled their latest toy line, the Transformers, at New York Toy Fair. Toy robots that could transform into cars, trucks, airplanes, and much more. To create a backstory for them, Hasbro turned to the creative giant Marvel Comics to write character bios and even launch a comic book in May of 1984. The details for that I've covered previously. Hasbro's ad agency, Griffin Bacall, and their animation studio, Sunbow Productions, also collaborated with Marvel Productions to produce a 3-part animated miniseries that would air in September. The runaway success of the toys and the comics quickly reached Hasbro, who gave the green light for an additional 13-episode season even before the first episode aired on TV. The cartoon brought in some of the best people in the industry at the time. Outsourcing the animation to Japanese studio Toei Animation, many of the robots were redesigned by artist Floro Derry. This would explain how the characters Ironhide and Ratchet had heads, and why some of the characters had mouths instead of plain faceplates. These redesigns were so popular, in fact, for their ease of drawing, that the comic book even adopted them beginning in issue 3. To help bring this cartoon to life, many of the best voice actors in the business were brought in under the direction of Wally Burr, who was known for working his actors hard to get the best results. Among them was Dan Gilvezan,
And since I'm the smallest, I have the best chance of getting through. I'll stick that bomb right under their nose here.
Chris Latta,
It's time for a change, Megatron. It's time for action, not words. I am the leader of the future.
Corey Burton,
Shockwave! What is your command, Megatron?
and Scatman Crothers.
Negative. The north side of Cybertron's blacker than the inside of a drive shaft.
To voice the leader of the Decepticons, the extremely talented Frank Welker was chosen to give Megatron his sinister voice.
I am Megatron, leader of the Decepticons. You will do exactly as I say.
In addition, he also voiced many other characters as well.
Eliminate resistance.
I'm trying, Soundwave.
Must be getting old, Ironhide. What you need is a force field.
To give life to the main hero, Optimus Prime, the role was given to Peter Cullen, who also voiced Ironhide.
He gave us all a pretty good scare. It's been worse. I remember the time on Cybertron.
When auditioning for the role, Peter Cullen took the wise words said to him to make Optimus Prime sound like a true hero, who was the embodiment of his own brother, Larry Cullen.
Save the war stories, Hotshot. Just remember, there's a thin line between being a hero and being a memory.
The first episode of the 3-part Transformers miniseries, now known as More Than Meets the Eye, aired on September 17th of 1984. Introducing TV viewers to the planet Cybertron, we're given a chilling narration by the talented Victor Caroli, who tells us about the war between the heroic peace-loving Autobots and the brutally evil Decepticons.
And the war between the forces of good and evil raged across Cybertron, devastating all in its path, draining the planet's once rich sources of energy.
Leaving to seek out a new way to revive their homeworld, the Autobots and Decepticons battle aboard the Autobot ship, the Ark, before crash landing on Earth. Reawakening 4 million years later, in the then present day of 1984, the ARC's computer, Teletran 1, rebuilds and reconfigures their Cybertronian bodies to transform into Earth vehicles and objects. And so, their war begins anew, with the fate of planet Earth hanging in the balance.
Stick it in neutral, Megatron. You're not going anywhere.
Try and stop me, Prime!
By the end of Part 3, the Autobots had befriended the humans Spike Witwicky and his father Sparkplug, and the Decepticons had built a starship with plans to return to Cybertron. However, the Autobot Mirage caused their ship to crash into the ocean, which was originally thought to have finished the Decepticons off.
Sorry, Prime. The ship was full.
Well done, Mirage.
Of course, this wasn't the end. The next 3 episodes, Transport to Oblivion, Roll for It, and Divide and Conquer, take place a few months later. The Decepticons rebuild their starship into an undersea headquarters.
The Autobots think they have defeated us. And yet we survive.
We are introduced to the concept of the space bridge, the wheelchair-bound human ally Chip Chase, and that the Transformers follow a set of rules on the battlefield, which will take a place of importance by the season's end. If you're following Hasbro Pulse's playlist, you'll notice that the next episode on the list, SOS Dinobots, before being followed by a 3-part epic, The Ultimate Doom. This is where those watching in order will get confused rather quickly, since the cartoon began to add more Transformers characters. The reason why it's listed this way, instead of its proper production and chronological order, has to do with the legal problems surrounding the character of Jetfire. While I've covered this previously, Jetfire was renamed Skyfire, and his surrounding episodes had to be redubbed with the new character name.
Have no fear, Jetfire's here! Have no fear, Skyfire's here!
And were broadcast later on in the season.
I'm too darn big to sneak around like this.
Upon reruns, and in all DVD releases of the cartoon, all 16 episodes were listed in their proper order. Speaking of home video releases, the first US DVDs of the G1 cartoon were released by Rhino Entertainment. Unfortunately, the video masters they received and remastered for DVD had numerous animation errors, and they had introduced their own added bonus of additional sound effects.
Forgive me, but I believe your boast sounds vaguely familiar. Forgive me, but I believe your boast sounds vaguely familiar.
Those familiar with animation would know that the rush production schedule before the digital age led to many of these animation errors. Many of them were fixed in time for the episodes broadcast on TV, but Rhino's release simply did not have those corrections. Without the added sound effects, these are the versions that are currently available to watch on YouTube and Tubi.
Yes, of course. I have you to thank for this worthless weapon frame.
However, Shout Factory was able to acquire a broadcast master, which they used to splice in those corrections for their DVD release with mixed results.
Don't blame me. Thundercracker swiped defective steel, not I. It was his fault.
Still, the Shout Factory DVDs remain the best way to watch, even if it's easiest to do so on YouTube.
You lie, Starscream!
Silence, you fool!
After introducing Skyfire and the Dinobots, the Decepticons also added to their ranks the Insecticons and the Constructicons, the franchise's first combining team. By the end of Season 1, the Transformers had reached widespread success. Optimus Prime was the toy to get for the Christmas season of 1984. For Season 2, the decision was made to move the cartoon from Saturday mornings to a weekday schedule. Regulations at the time required that in order to run from Monday through Friday, a cartoon must have a total of 65 episodes. Adding to the existing 16, an additional 49 episodes were ordered. Unlike Season 1, many of the episodes had much more self-contained stories, with a loose continuity between them, allowing writers the freedom to tell some of the franchise's best stories.
Hey, relax! Some people got the juice and some don't. And we got the juice.
Autobot Spike aired on September 23rd of 1985. The following episode, The Immobilizer, introduced Carly.
Of course, I wasn't sure it would work, but it's a theory I've had ever since I accepted my science scholarship at MIT.
Who would go on to be Spike's girlfriend and eventual wife. The two-part Dinobot Island acted as an introduction to the new Autobots and Decepticons, who were prominently featured in many Spotlight episodes. New concepts were also explored, such as the exploration of underground Cybertron in desertion of the Dinobots,
Me not know that before.
female Transformers in the search for Alpha Trion,
And it looks like they could use our help. Let's go!
how new Transformers are given life in the key Defector Sigma, and how a blue-collared warehouse worker named Orion Pax became the greatest Autobot hero of them all, Optimus Prime, in the episode War Dawn.
You? Who are you? Your worst nightmare.
The final 10 episodes of Season 2 introduced the first toys of 1986, the new combining teams of the Aerialbots, the Stunticons, the Protectobots, and the Combaticons.
Combaticons, form Rosicles.
Like Season 1, the production of the second season meant that many of the episodes were aired out of chronological order, and so Aerial Assault, an episode that featured the Aerialbots and the Combaticons, was aired before Starscream's Brigade, which was the origin episode for the Combaticons. The best way to view Season 2 and put it in order would be in 3 distinct arcs.
But how would you know, Alpha Trion? Only my creator could know that.
An educated guess, Prime.
The first few episodes have no new Transformers as they feature additional spotlights on the 1984 cast.
Hey, can't you even wait for me? Hey, guys!
Dinobot Island would begin the second arc. Megatron's Master Plan Part 2 brings in Cosmos and Astrotrain, and Omega Supreme arrived by the time of the episode Blaster Blues. The key to Vector Sigma begins the final arc with the combining teams, which, unfortunately, ends on a widely panned episode, BOT.
I'd say that about wraps it up. Yep.
It should be noted that in order to get all 49 episodes to air in time, along with Toei being overworked, especially with their next big project that they were working on, Sunbow contracted 3 of the episodes with a new animation studio, AKOM, with another 7 by a currently unknown studio. Midway through the planning and writing stages of Season 2, plans to take the animated series to the next level began with the first draft of Transformers the movie, in addition to G.I. Joe and My Little Pony.
In the summer of 1986, the most exciting adventure in the universe is on planet Earth. Transformers, the movie.
Set in the then future year of 2005, the movie hit the silver screen on August 8, 1986. Taking the daring move of killing off many of the cast while introducing many new futuristic characters, the movie even killed off Optimus Prime. While it ended on a high note with the new Autobot commander RodimusPrime saving Cybertron from the planet-eating planet Transformer, Unicron, and Megatron's new form of Galvatron, the movie wasn't as successful as the studio had hoped, even though it has a cult classic status. In September of 1986, the stories of the Transformers continued on with Season 3, beginning with a 5-part opening epic, 5 Faces of Darkness. Taking place months after the events of Transformers the movie, a new status quo is established. Rodimus Prime commands many new Autobots against the Decepticons led by Galvatron.
Scrapyard, what an appropriate place for you to meet your end, Rodimus Prime.
You're the one who'll be junk, Galvatron.
The Autobots defend both Earth and Cybertron from the Decepticons, in addition to a new threat, the Quintessons. Like Season 2, Season 3 also brings in many of the franchise's future staples, such as the Ghost of Starscream, Cybertronian colony worlds, the origin of Alpha Trion, and even giving the Transformers their first origin as slaves created by the Quintessons. By the season's end, a 2-part episode epic, The Return of Optimus Prime, brought back the popular character that required a bit of story retconning following the events of the episode Dark Awakening. The details for that I've also covered previously. Because Toei was so very focused on finishing the movie, Season 3 employed AKOM for a majority of episodes. While this certainly helped get the episodes out in time, and save the show's budget, these episodes are known for having some of the worst animations in the entire cartoon. However, this doesn't make all of those episodes bad per se, but it does require a forgiving eye if something is amiss. As with Season 2, the chronological order is not the same as its broadcast order. This is even more difficult to pinpoint since many of the events of Season 3 rely on previous episodes, with things such as a character introduction and the pivotal events of Webworld, which was somewhat of a cure to Galvatron's insanity.
You cannot stop me. I am Galvatron. I am your destruction.
He is crazy.
And so, this is the order I would chronologically place the episodes of Season 3. While airing later on in the season, Fight or Flee must happen before Starscream's ghost, since the Autobot triple changer, Sandstorm, is on Earth, and it makes sense to place Webworld following Ghost in the Machine, since Galvatron's madness had reached a pinnacle point after Starscream's haunting. Dark Awakening likely takes place afterwards, since a now slightly saner Galvatron isn't fooled by the Autobot's same maneuver used in Transformers the movie.
The end of Rodimus Prime!
Ahead full speed. I wish to examine the debris and make certain.
Of course, Grimlock's new brain comes before Money is Everything, since it introduces the Technobots and the Terrorcons. The series finale was initially going to be a 5-part miniseries written by David Wise, to close out the G1 cartoon with 100 episodes. Unfortunately, the box office numbers for My Little Pony and Transformers the movie, in addition to a soured relationship between Sunbow and Marvel, cut the budget considerably. As such, G.I. Joe the movie was cut into 5 parts to close out that cartoon, and the Transformers ended with a rushed 3-part AKOM animated episode, The Rebirth. While it featured most of the new toys being sold in 1987, the show concluded with an ending that left fans wanting a continuation that just never happened.
We shall see, Galvatron. We shall see.
While the original Transformers cartoon no longer produced new episodes, a pseudo 5th season aired in 1988. Known as the Rerun Season, a puppet Power Master Optimus Prime told stories to Tommy Kennedy to bookend a small list of episodes, including Transformers the movie, split into 5 parts.
I really gotta get back to Autobot City.
Would you like a ride?
You bet.
All in all, the Generation 1 cartoon is the very foundation of what makes the Transformers special to so many fans even today. Its ability to handle a large multitude of characters with some of the best talent in the industry still resonates as every single Transformers series afterwards draws from it in some form or fashion.
Never! I am autonomic perfection!
But what do you think? Do you think this video properly orders the episodes chronologically? And what is your favorite episode of the cartoon? Leave your thoughts in the comment section below. And if you like this video, be sure to thumbs up and subscribe. I have many more Transformers videos like this coming soon, so stay tuned. And as always, until next time, till all are one.
Who can say, Spike, in this vast universe, is anything truly forever?
We shall rise again.